I was his math teacher. I was 35 years old, careful and quiet. When he turned 20, we chose love. The price was my job, my hometown, and every whisper that followed us. My name is Olivia. I teach math at a school. I live alone in a small apartment near the school. My life is simple and calm. Every morning I wake up at 6. I make tea and read for a few minutes. Then I walk to school. I like the quiet streets in the morning. They make me feel peaceful. At school, I go to my classroom. My room has many desks and a big whiteboard. There is a window near my desk. Sunlight comes through it in the morning. I write numbers on the board every day. I explain problems. Students listen and take notes. Some students like math. Some students think it is difficult. I try to help them all. I have always been serious about my work. I believe a teacher must be strong and fair. I never mix my personal life with my job. I never get too close to students. That is the rule. That is the safe way to live. One Monday morning, new students joined my class. They walked in slowly and looked for seats. I watched their faces as they sat down. Some looked nervous. Some looked bored. Then I saw him. His name was James. He was tall and calm. He had brown hair and clear blue eyes. He chose a seat in the front row, near my desk. When I looked at him, he smiled. It was a simple smile, but it made my heart move in a strange way. I felt something new inside me. It was warm and soft. I did not understand it. I had never felt this before, not for a student. I quickly looked away and started my lesson. That day, I wrote equations on the board. I explained each step carefully. James listened with full attention. He asked thoughtful questions. His voice was gentle but confident. When I answered him, he smiled again. I felt that warm feeling return. After class, the students left one by one. I gathered my books and tried to forget him, but his face stayed in my mind. I told myself to be careful. He was a student. I was his teacher. Nothing more. That night at home, I made dinner and watched television, but I could not focus. I kept thinking about his eyes and his smile. I felt confused and uneasy. The next day, he came again. He sat in the same seat. He greeted me politely. During class, he worked hard and solved problems quickly. I admired his intelligence. I told myself that admiration was normal. Teachers often respect smart students. After class, when everyone left, he stayed behind. "Miss Olivia," he said softly, "can you help me with this question?" He brought his book to my desk. I agreed. We sat close to each other. I could hear his breathing. I could smell his light cologne. My heart beat faster than usual. I forced myself to think only about the numbers. I explained the problems step by step. He listened carefully. When he understood, his face brightened. "Thank you," he said. "You are a very good teacher." His words made me feel proud and happy. We talked a little more. He told me about a book he was reading. I told him about my favorite author. We laughed together. The moment felt easy and natural. When he finally left, the room felt empty. Days passed. James and I spoke more often. He stayed after class many times. Sometimes we talked about math. Sometimes we talked about life. He told me about his family and his dreams. He wanted to build something meaningful in the world. I admired his ambition. I knew this was dangerous. I reminded myself again and again, a teacher must keep distance. A teacher must protect boundaries. But my heart did not listen. One afternoon he asked, "Would you like to have coffee with me?" I felt my breath stop. I should have refused. It was not appropriate, but I saw honesty in his eyes. I heard hope in his voice. After a long pause, I said yes. We met at a small coffee shop near the school. It was quiet and warm. Soft music played in the background. We sat in the corner and ordered coffee. We talked for hours. We spoke about music, movies, childhood memories, and dreams. I told him about my lonely evenings. He listened carefully. No one had listened to me like that in years. "I like talking to you," he said. "You are interesting." His words touched me deeply. Before we left, I said, "James, we must be careful. I am your teacher." He looked at me seriously. "I am 20, he replied. "I know what I feel. I like you." His honesty shook me. I went home feeling restless. I knew I was standing on a thin line. Soon we began meeting more often. We tried to be discreet, but small towns have sharp eyes. Students noticed. Teachers noticed. One rainy day changed everything. After school, the ground was wet. I slipped near the parking lot. Strong hands caught me. It was James. He held me close to keep me safe. Rain fell around us. Our faces were close. He gently touched my cheek. "You are beautiful," he whispered. My heart raced. No one had spoken to me like that for a long time. I stepped back, afraid of my own feelings. But something inside me had already changed. Rumors spread quickly after that. Whispers filled the hallways. I felt eyes watching me everywhere. I tried to act normal, but fear followed me. One morning, the principal, Mr. Brown, called me to his office. He looked disappointed. "There are complaints," he said. "Parents are concerned. You must behave professionally." I felt small and ashamed. I promised to be careful, but it was too late. A few days later, he called me again. His voice was firm. "We cannot continue this," he said. "You are dismissed." My world broke in that moment. Teaching was my life. It was my identity. Now it was gone. The newspaper wrote about the situation. People in town whispered openly. Old friends avoided me. My family was hurt and confused. My mother cried and asked why I risked everything. I had no simple answer. I stayed home for many days. I felt lost and empty, but James never left me. He visited every day. He brought groceries and hope. He held my hands when I cried. "We will face this together," he said. He found a job at a small shop. He worked long hours. He saved money. His strength surprised me. One evening he said, "We should leave this town. We deserve a fresh start." He was right. The town held too much pain. We packed our belongings quietly. We left before sunrise. We drove far away to a small town where no one knew us. There, we rented a modest house with a little garden. The air felt lighter. The silence felt kind. Slowly, life became peaceful again. I began tutoring students from home. Parents in the new town only knew that I was good at math. They did not know my past. I set my own schedule. I felt independent again. James enrolled in a nearby college to study business. He wanted to build a stable future for us. He studied hard and continued working part-time. Our days were simple but warm. We cooked dinner together. We walked in the park. We talked under the stars. One afternoon by a quiet lake, he stopped walking. He took a small ring from his pocket and knelt down. "Will you marry me?" he asked softly. Tears filled my eyes. I said yes without hesitation. Our wedding was small and peaceful. A little church welcomed us. 2 kind strangers served as witnesses. I wore a simple white dress. James wore a neat suit. We promised to stand by each other always. In that quiet church, I felt no shame, only certainty. Marriage did not change our love, but it made it stronger. We supported each other through every challenge. We built routines that made our house feel like home. Every morning I made tea. Every Sunday, he brought flowers. We planted vegetables in the garden. We laughed more than we had in years. Sometimes I thought about my old town. I knew some people still judged me, but distance gave me peace. Their voices no longer controlled my life. People sometimes ask if I regret my choice. I do not. Love is not always easy. It demands courage. It demands sacrifice. I lost my job and my reputation. I faced criticism and loneliness. But I gained a partner who stood beside me when everything collapsed. I gained a life built on honesty and commitment. James was once my student. Now he is my husband, my partner, and my closest friend. Our love survived whispers, judgment, and loss. It survived fear and doubt. It survived change. Each morning we wake up grateful. We are thankful for our small house, our quiet garden, and our shared dreams. I know our story is not simple. It is not perfect, but it is real. We made a choice. We accepted the consequences. We walked away from the past and built something new. Love tested us. It demanded strength. It asked us to give up comfort and safety. In return, it gave us meaning. Now, when I stand in my small study and teach a student how to solve an equation, I feel calm. My life is different, but it is still valuable. In the evenings, when James returns from college, he smiles the same way he did the first day I saw him. That smile still warms my heart. I once believed that rules were stronger than feelings. I believed safety was more important than risk. But life is not always so clear. Sometimes love arrives unexpectedly. Sometimes it asks you to step into uncertainty. I stepped forward. I lost many things, yet I found something greater. Our story is not about rebellion. It is not about breaking rules for excitement. It is about 2 people who discovered a deep connection and chose to protect it. We paid a price, yes, but we also earned peace. When I look at James, I do not see a former student. I see a man who grew beside me. I see courage in his eyes. I see loyalty in his actions. And when he looks at me, I see respect. We continue to build our future slowly and carefully. We save money. We plan trips. We talk about dreams. We support each other's goals. Life is quiet again, but it is no longer lonely. If I could return to the past, would I change my choice? No, because love, when it is true and steady, becomes a foundation. It becomes home. I was his teacher once. Now I am his wife. I lost a career, but I found a partner. I left a town, but I found a life. And every day, as we sit together in our small garden and watch the sunset, I know that despite everything, we chose the path that was right for us.